Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's daily live stream of the market open. Today is currently April 24th, and as we kick off the new week, it is earnings season. We are finally here. So this week we have 42% of the whole S&P 500 reporting. Obviously the likes of Coca-Cola got us kick-started today, which is actually up in the pre-market. So Coca-Cola, you can see, is gapping up and is trading around 65.25. I do have a couple short levels on Coke, day tradable short levels. Basically, I want to see how these markets open, but we are into a nice little resistance area around the 65.50. It's more of the aggressive trade. There is a chance that it can get to double top. That is ultimately going to be the better level to play. But considering how extended Coke is on the daily chart, and now it's gapping up, coming into some major pivot point over here, big breakdown point, and a little bit of a gap on volume, this should be a decent area to try to short on Coke. So keep KO on the radar. That's one specific stock. I did make a short list over the weekend regarding some of the best technology shorts. I'm going to keep that privy right now. Some of them are more of swing trades, so I don't really have those as day trades. But a couple other day trade levels that I'm looking at. CSX. That one is on the radar for a short, but I would really love it to see it take out the high. So that's actually kind of pulled back in the pre-market off of our level. Let's look at SNA. SNA is on watch for a potential short. Where I like SNA, snap on just for a day trade short. These are not swings, these are day trades. If for some reason we can get a push through to the top of this trend line, you can see we are at this kind of this double top scenario on SNA. We've actually pierced it. So that's a short-term positive, but there's really two resistance points I'm looking at on SNA. The first trend line here is the aggressive level. The second trend line is the more conservative. I will have to wait and see how the market's open to dictate whether or not I play that on the long or the short side. Sorry, I mean not the long, on the short side. Let's look at Eli Lilly. That's another one I'm eyeing up for a short. It actually has pulled off of the highs in the pre-market, but very similar chart. It is trying to break out here. I'm not going to wait till this trend line. That's quite a ways away. But Eli Lilly is just surging higher. And you can see that it hasn't had much consolidation in this move. A few days here, but that's really not enough for this whole move in Eli Lilly. But I am looking at a short on LLY, just a day trade short. The level I have pinned in is basically around 388.85, 388.85 or higher. So keep Eli Lilly on the radar. All right, what else are we looking at here? ISRG. So notice how it's a kind of a healthcare theme right now. Chasing some of these healthcare stocks is very risky. We did short ISRG, I believe, on Friday for a couple nice winners. That's why I have some old trend lines here. But ISRG is actually gapping up now as well into the 301 level. Where I would like ISRG is nothing shy of its previous pivot high. I would want to see it pierce that level, preferably hitting this top of this trend line here where you had a major breakdown level. So we're talking about minimum pierce of 305.30. Minimum. Preferably even higher. You can see it's trading at 301. So it's a little bit of a ways away from that level. All right, we're also looking at SYK, and I'm just going through some of the shorts more so, and then we'll go through some of the longs. SYK is interesting because it is also making new 52-week highs. I mean, just look at this parabolic move. You can even see it clear on a weekly chart where it hasn't really had any consolidation. This is actually looking interesting for even a swing short level on SYK, but as of now, we're just focusing on the days. This one is gapping up as well. I don't know if it's making a new 52-week high as of yet. No, the 52-week high was basically at 306, a pierce of 306. So we wanted to basically to tag that double top, preferably even pierce it to go on the short side of SYK. Kimberly-Clark is another one. KMB, actually that's off the radar. That's pulling off. If it was to challenge this pivot high at the 144.47, then you have the true double top zone. That is the short level for SYK. The spiders are catching a nice little bid as of now, so things are catching a little bit of a boost. Tesla has caught a bid. The spiders are trying to push up. Nice little move on Tesla occurring. So we'll see if the markets can continue to push higher or if they're going to see a sell-off at some point in time. But the dollar and yields just softened up there, which is why the market caught a bid. All right, so I'm just going to go through some of the upgrades now and the downgrades. We got a whole host of new upgrades from Walter Bloomberg, but basically looking at some of the upgrades, they upgraded AALY. I find that very interesting. This chart is not anything bullish. I would never start chasing these stocks that they upgraded. AYX is another one they've upgraded. No real trade there as of yet. I'm not seeing anything. AZEK, that one's gapping up slightly. If it was to hit this double top around $30, we could look for a short, but no real trade there yet. Needs more consolidation. CLW, let's see what they're going on here. Another upgrade on Clearwater Paper Corporation. This is actually looking bearish. This is not looking very bullish to me. So realistically, what I'm seeing here after this upgrade is we actually have a potential. Let me just draw this trend line here. So you bounced. You've actually triggered a head and shoulders topping formation, which this pattern takes you back down to about the $25 level, maybe 26. And you're putting in the sideways bearish consolidation to move lower. Maybe you get one more retrace back up to the neckline, trying to see, but the fact that this is getting an upgrade, this chart is not looking that bullish in my point of view. Spiders are pushing up here, so we'll continue to watch that on my other screens as things progress. We also got an upgrade on IDYA, so biosciences. Let's see what's happening here. Wow, that one's shooting up. Look at that upgrade. I mean, we're talking about a move from 1493 to, what are we at, 18 something. It's over 20% gap up. That's an impressive move on IDYA. So there's not too much history on this one, and it's a thin stock on the volume front, so I'm not going to play that one. MDT, let's just run through some of these. Medtronic getting an upgrade as well. This one's actually looking a little bit more bullish. You have this W pattern over here, beautiful double bottom zone. Now you are at some minor resistance, so what I would love to see is sideways consolidation, a bull flag, and this is more of a swing trade to go long. But this one's actually more of definitely a bullish chart, as you are starting to create a little bit of a basing formation, but it doesn't mean it can't go lower. You're not out of the woodworks yet. And you can see MDT is on the near-term precipice of breaking out of this trend line. You actually did get a confirmed daily break, so we'll have to keep that one on the radar. If this one really gets going too ahead of itself before we get meaningful consolidation, I will look to short this play, but it's not there yet. Not there yet. Let's take a look at PEAK. That's another upgrade. No trade there for me. PPG. That's gapping up. Let me just take a look at this chart. Let me just see a trend line here from my point of view. No, there's really no trade that I'm seeing on this particular chart. I don't like that consolidation. That's upsloping, creating a wedge. All right, let's move along. SQM, obviously I'm watching ALB. SQM's got a nice upgrade. So go figure, SQM had that blistering fall on Friday, down over 18.5% on that Chile nationalization news of nationalizing lithium mines. Obviously, we also picked up ALB, which is one of the ones that I'm paying close attention to. ALB for a day trade long is very intriguing at these levels. I think ALB has had a mean reversion to the downside, and I think we could see a retrace on ALB basically all the way back up to this trend line at the minimum, but it got absolutely slaughtered as well, down 10% on Friday. It is gapping up about a couple percent, so keep ALB on the radar for a long trade. But I do like these lithium miners here. They were absolutely slaughtered. You're coming into a very, very oversold condition. You have a measured move. If you take this high to this low, matched up with this high to this low, you get a beautiful measured move. Same thing over here, this high to this low. It's pretty much a symmetrical measured move, so I do think that there's going to be more upside in these lithium miners in the near term. And it's just so interesting that they get slaughtered on options X, and then you get an upgrade the very next morning on SQM after this crazy announcement of nationalizing lithium mines. SNV, No real trade there that I'm seeing, but that is another upgrade. And then TREX is another upgrade that we got, so nothing really there. Let's take a look at some of the downgrades now. So the downgrades are a little bit longer. You have ABR that got downgraded. No real trade that I'm seeing there. ADCT that got also downgraded. I'm not seeing anything there. AI, this should be on everyone's watch right now. AI is gapping lower. Last time I checked, it was down 8% in the pre-market. So let me just see if there's a level on AI that we can trade. So if I throw up a fib from that low to the high, you can see we tagged that 618. We've bounced, and now you're gapping over it. So this is the tricky thing about AI, is that it's a fast mover, and there's no real Fibonacci numbers to support it until you get to the 786 at 1535. So that's a little bit of a factor off of the table now. Obviously, this is a high volume gap zone where you gap down, and then you had your impulse move out. Really, the level that I would play AI on the long side, a day trade long, is basically, oh, it's actually lower than that. So 18, let me just see here. So it's trading at 1831. You're trying to lose this green bar. That's a pretty strong green bar surge. It did happen on an unusual amount of heavy volume. So that is a decent support level, but there's a gap fill around this 16, just shy of 16. That is basically the truer, better technical level. And one of the things about trading the stock that makes it so difficult is you had your big move down, you put in bearish consolidation, and now you're going lower in this trend. And let's just actually see this bear flag, how far it could take you down. Not saying it will take you there, but just the fib measured move. We're talking about a 618 at 1633. That aligns with the gap fill. That's actually a very, very good technical level. Keep that on the radar. If AI flushed down all the way to 1633 today, we would play it on the long side. But look at that bear flag. It could take you down to a 1091, and there just so happens to be a gap fill there. So that's two factors. So definitely pay attention to the stock, because if it gets selling pressure, it could fall very, very quickly. Let me just see. You also have the daily 200 moving average. This actually might be a decent level. If you let it pierce this level over here. So what I'm looking for is this to challenge this green bar, maybe pierce it, hit the 200, and then we can maybe go long. So that daily 200 will act as some fairly decent support. So keep AI on the radar. That is one I am watching closely. Let me just see here. So the dollar is falling sharply lower right now. The DXY is falling. Oil's under a little bit of pressure today. Natural gas is also. Let me just keep throwing through here. We have another ASR that is an interesting play that is getting downgraded today. ASR is very thin, so I'm going to stay away. Not a good day trading vehicle. CMRE. Also very thin, gapping lower today. No real trade there. This actually looking bearish. You have a left shoulder, an M top, head over here, another right shoulder. If you break this neckline, this Costamare is likely heading to about $8, maybe even sub $8. And just be careful with these equities trading below 10 bucks. FSLR, obviously one of our swing shorts, is also getting downgraded today. That's impressive. That is good to see, considering we're short near the highs here. It is gapping lower. Really, the day trade level on First Solar would have to be around, let me just go to the weekly chart here, because this is more of a weekly pattern. So you have your impulse green bar. All of this is still technically consolidation, although it is choppy. Distribution is clearly happening. So notice this type of consolidation where you have mainly just a nice sideways pullback. This is sideways and then back up and then back down and then back up. That's distribution. That is actually not as healthy consolidation as say this sideways pullback. The level that I would only go long on FSLR just for a day trade would have to be around 185, but we're substantially off of that level as of now. Spiders are also pushing higher. The dollar's also falling at this point in time. Crypto is catching a small little micro bid. All right, let's continue to go through this list. We have HFWA. I don't recognize that. That's also gapping lower. KC also gapping lower on a downgrade. NSP That one's also gapping a little bit lower. No real trade there yet. Let's take a look at Open Door Technologies. This one's actually been under a lot of pressure. You can see it's in a clear technical downtrend, trying to put in a basing formation here. So this is at a key injunction point, this chart, because you're making a series of here's your low, here's your higher low, here's your high, here's your lower high. So you're creating this clear tight wedge pattern, and typically wedge patterns at the lows like this do favor a break to the upside, but again, you have to respect that this is in a technical downtrend. Definitely a technical downtrend. I'm not seeing really any trade down here. Obviously, we're gapping down to 151. If for some reason the stock were to hit, say, 134, this impulse green bar, that would be your long level, and then just keeping a very tight stop loss to close that trade. PERY, also another gap down on a downgrade. RF, that's one we're fully positioned and shorting. That's also got a downgrade today on earnings. So completely missed earnings on Friday. Saw some buyers, they did come in because there was strength in regionals, but that is falling lower today on a downgrade. So nothing to do there. Just hang on to our swing short. TNDM also falling. So really that's pretty much going to sum up the upgrades and downgrades. I'm also keeping an eye on some other individual stocks right now. There's some couple biotechs that have received some pretty good news. This ACON is gapping higher. This one, if it gets enough volume, obviously it's very thin, only 18,000, but if it were to pick up volume because it is on news, we could maybe look for it on the short side, but definitely extreme risk in some of these individual names at this point in time. In terms of other things that I'm watching today, obviously keep your eye on that Dixie, that DXY. It is trying to put in some sideways consolidation, but it's under pressure right now. And you don't really want to lose this green bar, but right now it is challenging that low. If you take a look at gold, gold is also putting in sideways consolidation. This is actually a micro bear flag forming, but it's still in a technical uptrend and very strong at that. The dollar is falling sharply lower though. Let's take a look at oil now. So oil is just hugging that support, the 100-day moving average and the 50. If you get consolidation over this gap, that gap becomes very, very minor technical support, and you actually have to look to about $70, a pierce of $70. So this was your original move up, consolidation, big impulse green bar to capture this down move. That's your big technical support level at the low of this bar here, so around 69, 69.50 give or take. Let me just see if there's anything else on the radar. Obviously ALB, keep that on your radar for a long trade. Some of the China stocks have been absolutely slaughtered recently. BABA's gapping down again, so it's trading at 88. Really the only level I like on a BABA long would have to be this gap fill around 86.19. So keep BABA on the radar for a long trade. Even Baidu has been under extreme amounts of pressure. I mean, look at this vertical sell-off. That is awesome to see because it does allow us an opportunity to potentially trade. And you made a low around 124.28 and you're actually making a new low in the pre-market. So I'm just going to put a trend line there and then a trend line at the high there. So I do like BABA for a long, Baidu for a long, 122.50 or lower. If Baidu can flush into 122.50, basically matching with this pivot, this consolidation high-end range, this big breakdown zone, we could just do a day trade long on Baidu. This is a nice vertical sell-off. The only downside is that now we have a bearish pattern to contend with on Baidu. So what I'm looking on Baidu is you actually triggered on Friday this topping formation. You have this M top. Here's your left M, down, right M. Boom, you actually triggered that. If you get a daily close below this candle, this pattern suggests much, much more downside in this particular chart. Now, there are a lot of people watching on this stock, maybe an inverse head and shoulders. The thing about that is if you were to draw from your left shoulder pivot over here, you have an upsloping neckline. That is an invalidation of an inverse head and shoulders. And the thing about that pattern is you have to pay attention because, yeah, sure, it could be forming one pattern, but it hasn't even triggered yet. So a lot of people pay attention to patterns that haven't even triggered. Why would you pay attention to an inverse head and shoulder that hasn't triggered and is not valid as of yet? And basically the pattern that has triggered is this M top that we just discussed by triggering the neckline here. So that's more valid to the downside than one would be to the upside because it hasn't triggered yet. All right, so dollar continues to fall here. Look at the sell-off in the dollar. It is challenging double bottom, but I don't even know what that's based off of. But that's a big sell in the dollar. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of responding, but fairly muted as of now. If we look at the spiders, let's see the spiders here. Spiders are also gapping up today slightly, 412.23. Really the levels that I have on the SPY. Let me see here. So Apple's trying to push to the positive side with the dollar slumping there. Bitcoin's trying to catch a little bit of a rally. Let's take a look at Nvidia. See how Mr. Big NVDA is doing. Nvidia is still slightly lower today. That RF is under pressure. Just want to do a quick check of the banks as well after I check a couple things here. Because obviously the banks, I know Wells Fargo's under pressure this morning. XOM is actually slightly lower today, down in the session. So that's interesting to see. You have Netflix gapping up today as well. That's got some strength. Meta's positive. Apple's negative on the session. So is Nvidia. Tesla's trying to push up on today's session. But it is gapping lower. Tesla's actually interesting for a long trade. Basically, the level I'm looking for on Tesla, if Tesla could, let me just take a peek here. If Tesla could flush down to about 162.10, I may be interested in starting a little bit of a long position as well. So obviously Tesla had a decent move off the low, closed at 165, it's at 164 right now. Basically, I would love to see Tesla come and retest this zone over here. Shake out a few more people, and then maybe potentially play it on the long side. And then we add to the long position with a double bottom. And then you just have a stop loss basically a few pennies below this level. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for Tesla. Let's do a quick check of the banks now. Alright, so now the spiders are actually lower and negative, just slightly. Natural gas is trying to hold on to some positive gains, but still just in a very choppy sideways range. It is slightly positive though, so you have to respect that. Healthcare is really the strong horse today again, so no real change there. Microsoft's gapping down about $1.77 from the close. All right, let's take a look at these banks. So Bank of America, that's actually falling a little bit lower right now, closed at $29.87. No real trade there yet. Let's take a look at JP Morgan. JP Morgan actually closing and gapping lower as well. There might be a long trade on JP Morgan. Let me just go to a larger time frame here. The only real, I actually prefer to short JP Morgan, not play on long, because JP Morgan had that big earnings play. And one thing we have to pay attention to is JP Morgan loses this white trend line. I mean, we're talking about a move down from 140, 180. It's about a $3, just over $3.50 move down. You know, we're talking about a move down to about 135.50. So basically challenging this green bar low. So pay attention to JP Morgan. Let's take a look at Wells Fargo, because that's also gapping down slightly. Wells Fargo. That one's closed at 41.24. You had a test candle reversal over here. You can see that that was your heavy reversal down. Looked like you're putting in bearish consolidation, and then you had a breakthrough to the upside. So that's a pretty decent level. If it were to flush straight into it, we can use that pivot low as a little bit of a intraday stop loss, but that would be your support on WFC for a long. The dollar's continuing to fall lower here. And this ALB looks very interesting for a long trade, so definitely keep ALB on the radar. That's a nice trade. I think this sell-off was overdone. I think it was an options X rumor, more so. And I think that this one at the minimum comes and fills the gap. Obviously, full disclosure, we are long via swings with our members. Let's take a look at KRE now. KRE, so the regionals are falling a little bit lower here. What I'm looking here on the regionals is nothing healthy. I mean, let me just flip to the daily chart of the regional banks. And obviously today we have more data that we have to be aware of. There's no economic data today or important ones, which is a positive because we're jam-packed with earnings this week. So in terms of earnings today, obviously Coca-Cola was one, but there's a few other companies that we have to pay attention to. Coca-Cola, Philips, Bank of Hawaii reported, Credit Suisse, Dynex, Bank of Morris, Garrett, Motion. And then after the close, we have FRC, so First Republic. I think all eyes are on that bank because that's been one of the slaughtered regional banks that has just created no love. It is gapping up now, but basically, can the earnings get any worse? I mean, if they come in better than expected, maybe this gets a pop higher because this has just been thrown out. And how much worse can this earnings report be, you know, with the stock down about 80%? So it's just interesting to see that this one has been slaughtered and really no one's seeing any buying pressure, but it doesn't put that big expectations on this particular bank, considering it is down quite substantially. But we'll see if the market has it priced right or wrong, and that's the big question. All right, what else do we have after the bell? We have Cliffs, so Cleveland Cliffs. That's going to be an interesting one. Let me see here. CLF is the ticker. Ooh, that's looking like a bearish chart. It's actually gapping lower. You can see it's missed on the last 3 earnings. This is actually not a healthy chart, guys. I'm actually, right off the bat, I'm seeing it triggered a head and shoulders pattern. And this goes right aligned with my thesis that I've informed my members of about steel stocks. Steel stocks are looking actually very weak, and I've made a list. A couple of steel stocks that I'm keeping an eye on are Nucor and where's the other one there? Steel Dynamics, STLD and DOW. So there's quite a bit of weakness in the industrials, and steel stocks are certainly showing me that. But the fact that this is triggered, now we wait for earnings. If after the bell earnings come in bad and we get maybe a retrace to the neckline, we could actually look to short Cleveland Cliffs. Even if you look at Nucor, NUE, this is another one I'm keeping on the radar. Bearish consolidation hasn't triggered yet, but if we get a break of these necklines here, I mean, these could open up the floodgates lower. STLD, another one, Steel Dynamics, very similar chart patterns to say the least, but Cleveland Cliffs will be interesting. We also have Whirlpool after the bell that is reporting. That's kind of a good consumer sentiment to see how this particular company plays out, but it has formed a bit of a double bottom zone over here, so you have to respect that it is at support. It's currently trading well off of support. You're running into some minor resistance, but it does look like it can actually push higher, heading into the earnings report, pending that it is a decent report nonetheless. We also have AGNC. I'm not familiar with that company. It's an investment company, not looking like the healthiest chart. You're losing all of the key moving averages on the daily chart. Not healthy consolidation. We have Cadence. That's going to be an interesting one. We'll see how that particular stock comes into fruition, because this has been an absolute powerhouse. The level I'm looking for on Cadence is basically, does it recapture this COVID trend line? Major pivot low, hasn't really got above that, but if it were to push up into that, gap up into that on a good earnings report, and you can see how earnings is pretty consistent for this company, that might be a short level on Cadence. I would have loved to see more consolidation on this chart, but this type of pattern is extended. It's overbought. I mean, even if you look on the weekly chart, it's just had no consolidation. It's just been a one-way freight train to the upside. So definitely a very, very strong chart at this point in time, but it needs consolidation in my opinion if you're considering a long trade. Let's look at CN. That's going to be important for the railroads. So let's look at CNI here. So that one's going to report earnings. Expectations estimate is 3.14 billion. Has a pretty decent track record. In terms of this pattern, it's not looking that bad. What I'm noticing right off the hop is you have a clear resistance trend line, which you're approaching, but you also have a smaller pattern that is arguably broken out to the upside over here. I would love to see a retrace. If you get a retrace back to this 118, 117 level, you could look for a long, just with a stop loss, with a daily close stop loss below this red bar. If you close below this reversal, you stop out of the trade. But this one actually looks poised for a continuation higher, but I'm not buying it here. I would love to see a pullback to support. That would be how I would at least play this particular individual name. You also have Range Resources, Brown & Brown, and Ameriprise. But the real big ones start tomorrow. Tomorrow you get hit with several key names. Let's just look at Coke, see how that's performing. That one's actually still pushing up into this resistance level. It hasn't hit the upper end of the resistance, but keep Coke on the radar for a potential short. I would love to see it at 65.70. We may get a positive push in the market if the markets hold up. So really Coke for a short, Eli Lilly for a short, ALB for a long, maybe even natural gas for a long. And then we'll have to reassess from that point in time. So we have about 20 minutes till the market open. Spiders are off of the level right now, so we'll keep the SPY on deck. Nvidia's trying to go positive, just slightly lagging the market right now. Bitcoin's catching a little minor bid. KRE is still lower on the session. We'll see how that opens up. GE is a powerhouse, still trading near the highs of the chart. PDD lower, Baidu lower. JP Morgan just went green, so Bank of America is still lagging, regionals are still lagging, Wells Fargo is still lagging. Costco's higher on the session, so is Walmart. Natural gas is actually trying to push up, and it looks like it's trying an attempt of a breakout here on nat gas. So take a look at natural gas. It's actually putting in some decent sideways consolidation on the larger term time frame. So if you look on the hourly chart, natural gas had that big move down over here, but this is still trying to put in a base to move higher. You can see it on the daily chart over here. This is actually positive. If we can consolidate above the key moving averages, I actually have a shorter term moving average here, which I will throw up instead of the 100. I will put the 7, And you can see the 7 in yellow. Right now we're just wedging ever so tightly between the 7, the yellow moving average, and the 50. Now, because this yellow moving average is sloping up, you would favor a continuation move. And notice where we're at. Notice when you had an upsloping in this key moving average over this trend over here, the 50 daily moving average was much, much farther away. Now you almost have an intersection that is about to occur. So this is on the near term, and what I'm believing is it's very close to seeing a pop through, which would get that bullish cross of the 7 and the 50 to take you higher in the chart, at least to the next resistance around 272. So keep natural gas on the radar for a long. It is looking intriguing to continue to play, but it's still at resistance, and you need to really get through this chop zone over here. But interesting to see that it is trying to perk up. So now the spiders are seeing a little bit of minor selling. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. We'll see what type of patterns we get out here. Basically, in terms of what I have here on the spiders, I have some channel resistance and support. First off being resistance, you can clearly see we're at resistance. If you get through that, then you actually could make a pretty strong move to 413.66, give or take. But you're at resistance right now. First level of support, you can clearly see on here, we're in this beautiful channel. First level of support's at the low end of the channel, around 410.70, give or take. If you were to bust through that, you have another channel to the downside around 409. So that's kind of your two intraday levels of support right now. And we'll just have to see how this transpires and unfolds. I still have a downside target of 408 that we should hit and trigger probably this week. Obviously, if earnings continue to remain strong, that's going to hinder the chances of the market going lower, but it is on watch potentially for a move down. The dollar's catching a little bit of a micro bid right now, so it's trying to defend this double bottom zone. You did get a pierce, but you haven't confirmed on the smaller term time frame. Bitcoin, let's just see how AI is doing, if that's caught a little bit of a bid. So really the low on AI was around this 1830. Interesting. Very interesting. You can see the spiders. So we're about 15 minutes till the market open, 14 minutes, and it's fairly quiet today. Fairly quiet today. Look at that powerful move this morning. Or sorry, on Friday, boom. And now, whoops, sorry, just messed that up. How do I fix this? Accidentally messed up the screen here, guys. Apologies. Let me just see if I can correct this. Nice. Thanks. All right. So the ZFSA is gapping up tremendously. I mean, we're talking about a move from 167. That's like 60-70% move. There might be a level to trade. Again, volume pending. Volume pending. That's going to be the big thing. $7.43. Let's take a look at SFR. That one's also gapping up. I'm just scanning through some of the big movers today, pre-market movers. NXPL, it's also acting well. So Nvidia is slightly negative. Amazon's still holding up here. Amazon is still the mega cap that people are liking to hold. It's actually gapping up today. It's trading at 107. You can see we actually just tagged that 200 daily moving average, pierced it, and then closed back underneath it. Really, the level to trade Amazon, and on the short side, I wouldn't chase it here because you are making a pretty strong move up. But the level to trade Amazon would be this 10863 on the short side if we got a push up there. Just going to read through some of these headlines. The Dixie is getting a nice little surge here. So the Dixie is getting a pop. The Dixie actually put in a 10-minute reversal candle. That's pretty strong, I might add. Gold is seeing some pressure. Look at that nice little reversal in the dollar. That's a big reversal. Bitcoin hasn't reacted, but gold is reacting. Gold is reacting. Nice down move, up move in the dollar. Spiders fell about 6 cents off of that Dixie move. So clearly still a massive correlation. Massive correlation. So the Dixie's still trying to hold its gains here. Oil's had a nice push off the lows. Oil's actually trying to go to the positive side now. Not there yet, but it's trying. Microsoft's under some pressure this morning. Some of the headlines here. Wall Street is subdued, open ahead of tech earnings. Yep. It's pretty quiet. There's a brand new fear gauge on Wall Street. That's speculation headlines. Russia crude exports still show little signs of production cuts. That's probably why oil is catching a bounce. That's off of Bloomberg. Obviously, Citigroup downgraded First Solar. Coca-Cola beat its estimates despite the price hikes. More Trump headlines. No real crazy market movers yet. And we'll see how we'll see if there's any specific individual movers. Right now the indices are flat, the futures are flat. The Russell's slightly negative, oil's slightly down in the futures, Bitcoin and crypto are slightly negative, the dollar's also slightly negative, gold is also slightly negative, natural gas is slightly positive. Seeing that 3-month yield still surging and continuing to push higher. Long end rates are down today. Alright, so we have about 6 minutes to the open. I'm still interested in Eli Lilly short. It's not at the level yet. Coca-Cola short. And keeping an eye on a couple other individual names. ALB. Coca-Cola, Eli Lilly, those are probably the two big movers that I'm watching. Look at this ALB, since we mentioned it and started discussing it, it's actually started to push higher in the pre-market. So we were discussing it when it was down here around 176. It's had a nice move off the lows already. Interesting to see that, even when the spiders are under pressure. It's going to flip back to the regular trading. So let's just take it patiently, slow. You never know when some fund can issue some negative guidance ahead of earnings. There's always that chance. Just writing down some notes here. Alright, dollar's creating a bid here as we're about to open, which is going to put pressure on all commodities and the market as a whole. So keep Eli Lilly, Coca-Cola, those are really the only major ones that I'm seeing, and both are on the short side of the trade. So we'll just see how the S&P opens here. It is gapping slightly lower, so maybe we push up, fill the gap, and then start rolling over, or we just continue grinding higher. But tech is a little weak. If Microsoft were to flush down to about 279, we could look for a long trade, but mega cap tech is under pressure right now. All right, get ready for the open here. All right, spiders are set to open here. SMCI is gapping lower, so more weakness in semis. Gold is seeing some dollar surging here ahead of the open. The dollar's pushing here ahead of the open. All right, markets are open here. Spiders are under a little bit of near-term pressure. Getting a bunch of little alerts here. Let's take a look at the CRUS. That one's even gapping lower. Might be a trade there. Let me just look at that a little bit closer. Sorry about all these alerts here. They're just coming in full force. Multiple screens. Sound like a circus in here. Holy. That's crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Spiders are pushing up here. There might be a lot. Oh, Coca-Cola. Keep Coke on the radar here. Coke is coming up into the short level. It is pushing up. I like it up a little bit higher. Market's got a nice big bid there. That was a big, big bid. Microsoft's still falling, but you had a big bid from Apple. Spider's big push as well. So we'll see if we can get Coke on the short side. I'm still watching Eli Lilly. Amazon's acting well. Ford's up on the session. Meta's seeing a little bit of weakness. Netflix is at resistance. Coin is under pressure. Spiders are at resistance. They're acting well though. Coca-Cola's reversed from the highs. Apple's falling. Tesla had a big fall, so keep Tesla on the radar for a long. Tesla and the markets are falling right now. Spiders are still trying to push up here. We'll see if we can get some more upside. The dollar's still trying to move up. So pay very close attention to that dollar. Big pullback in the SPY. Eli Lilly's falling. Coca-Cola's still on the radar. So Eli Lilly's off the table. Coke at the 65.47. Keep that on your radar. Apple's at the lows. Coke is pushing up. It's hitting that 65. Actually, 65.17 on Coke is a first good technical resistance. 65.17. 65.17. It's not there yet. But let's see if it can get there. Eli Lilly had a big reversal. Meta's coming down. Banks are acting well. Coinbase. Wow, First Solar is getting demolished, down 6% on First Solar. That's really wild. There might be a tradable level on First Solar. Let me just see here. First Solar is coming up into some support here. I like it at a Pierce of 200. A Pierce of 200 and First Solar might be a long trade. There's actually even the 50 daily moving average at 198.93. So that is the better technical level. Spiders are continuing to act well and pushing up. Spiders are trying to push up. Spiders are acting well here. Coca-Cola is still hovering off our level. Nvidia is surging higher. Look at Nvidia soaring and roaring here. Nvidia is lifting these semis. Let's take a look at this SMCI, because that gapped lower. That had a big move off the lows. Spiders are acting well. Coke is still off of our level. Didn't quite hit our level yet, but I'm still watching it. Apple's got a big bid. Microsoft's got a big bid from the lows. Netflix is pushing up. Meta's pushing up. We're seeing some strength come back into this market. Amazon's soaring and roaring here. Let's take a look at AI now. AI's got a bounce. Never quite hit that daily 200 that I'm watching. Spiders are now coming back down. Seeing some resistance at that channel point. I'm still keeping watch on AI because I'm interested in going on a long trade on the 200, near the 200 daily moving average. ALB is acting well after that big sell-off. It's trying to push back up. Nvidia is still a powerhouse. Gold is actually dumping here, which is because the dollar is probably surging. Look at that dump in gold. That's a big dump in gold. The markets haven't really responded to the move up in the Dixie. Take a look at that Dixie move. Let's take a look at GDX. GDX also a big dump. So the markets are pushing up despite the dollar surging. Gold is reacting. Healthcare is seeing some near-term negative price action. Spiders are continuing to act well here. Still like Baidu BIDUs, not at my level yet. BABA's still just off of my level. If BABA can flush down to that 86.15, 86.12 level, I will look for a long trade. Spiders are continuing to act well. Banks are seeing some near-term pressure pulling off of the highs. QQQ, so strength in tech here. Strength in tech. So these markets are still acting well. Microsoft's trying to go positive. Tesla's had a big rip-roaring rally. Some of the commodity stocks like Freeport-McMoRan are under pressure. That's copper falling sharply lower. Coke is still holding up here. McDonald's is still holding up. But Coke is reversing from the highs. QQQ is clearly where the strength is. QQQ is clearly where the strength is. Not really seeing anything yet that's jumping on the radar yet. Maybe let's see this Getty. What's Getty doing? That's reversed off the highs. Holo, HOLO. That's reversed off of the highs. C3AI is trying to bounce. Nvidia's at some near-term resistance but acting well. Mainly strength in tech. Natural gas is trying to make a move here. Natural gas is actually looking poised to try to move higher here. I'm considering a long on nat gas. If we get a 5-minute close above this pivot, we could play natural gas on the long side. So keep UNG on the radar. Keep UNG or Boyle. They are some options. AI has had a nice bounce off of the lows. Markets are continuing to push. Alright guys, I'm going to go long UNG here if we get a close. I'm going to go long UNG. Alright, I'm long UNG at 703. Tight stop loss. Tight stop loss on UNG. I'm long at 703. 703 long UNG. Here we go. It's pushing up. Nat gas is pushing up as well. Here we go. 706. I'm looking for a move to this 710 level at the minimum. Looking for about a 7 to 10 cent move on UNG. Alright, I'm going to put a break-even stop loss now so we don't lose on the trade. Break-even stop loss on the trade. Let's see if we can get to the 710 pivot. That's where I'll look to take profits. But it should even push higher. Spiders are still acting well, still stuck at resistance. Coca-Cola's pulled off of the highs. Natural gas is just on the near-term precipice of breaking out here. It's trying very, very hard here. Netflix is trying to push up. Meta's pushing up now, so clearly some strength in the communications coming back into play. Spiders are acting well, pushing above key resistance here. Take a look at the spiders. They're pushing. Spiders are pushing. Let me just take a look at this next resistance. Spiders may be a short if we pierce this 413.50 level. UNG is still just hovering. Keep that tight stop loss, break even stop loss. Do not let it go against you. Qs are acting well. Gold still had a big sell-off. Interesting to see that. Tech is still acting well. Alright, 707. I'm moving my stop loss up to 704 now. 1 cent in the money. 1 cent in the money. I do have a short level on the spiders, but it's higher. UNG is now at 706. It's pulling back in slightly. Nvidia is seeing some little bit of minor distribution. Alright, look at UNG go. Come on. I think we could actually look for maybe even a breakout of this bull flag pattern. And if you get a breakout of this bull flag, I mean, you're going to this gap fill around 735. That is certainly possible on UNG. So I'm going to trail it and keep trailing. I'm not going to take profits. I'm not going to take profits yet. I'm going to see if we can trail it and squeeze a little bit more. It's up 1% on the session right now. UNG is up 1%. Microsoft's had a fantastic rally. Natural gas is still pushing. Look at this. Look at this move. Here we go. We're hitting target 1 in about 1 penny. We're hitting target 1. And natural gas is looking poised It's now crossing above that 50 daily moving average. Is this freight train going to stop? Look at this. We're hitting target 1. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I'm going to move my stop loss up to now 707. I am banking some profits here. I'm still in though. I'm still in. We're at 711 on let's see if we can get a short trade on Netflix too. I'm still watching UNG. I'm still in it. Still in UNG, but my stop loss is now 707. I'm banking about 5 cents on the trade at the minimum. And we are even pushing higher. I'm going to look to short Netflix here. I am going to short Netflix here. I just shorted Netflix at 334.50. 334.50. Look at UNG soaring and roaring. Look at this go. Alright, I'm moving my stop loss up to about 708. 708. Come on, let's see if we can push. My stop loss at 708. And we are also shorting Netflix here. Alright, Netflix is coming in nicely. We short at 334.50. 334.50. Let's see what we can get here. We're in the money about 50 cents here. It's acting well. UNG is starting to see a little bit of near-term pressure. Just a tiny bit. Natural gas is still acting well though. The actual natural gas chart is acting very, very well. Look at this sell on Netflix. Look at this sell on Netflix, guys. Nice dump on Netflix. Come on, a little bit more. See if we can write it down. UNG is continuing to push. UNG is continuing to push up. Spiders are still acting well. We're seeing, look at this push on UNG. We're now making another move to the upside here, guys. Look at this beautiful. All right, I am moving now my stop loss up to 710. 710 on UNG. Let's continue to protect this trade and bank profits. All right, guys, I am covering my Netflix here too. I just covered at 333.48. Boom, 333.48 covered on Netflix. That is a nice little chunk of change there. It was only a 1/6 position, but I had 100 shares there. Look at UNG. All right, let's manage this UNG. Look at this. Look at this. Come on, keep going, UNG. Keep on going. Netflix is having a big pullback. Look at this break on UNG. I mean, if we get a close above this pivot high over here, we're talking about a potential squeeze all the way up to gap fill. That would be an epic trade in our pocket. Look at this move, guys. Look at this move. Still protecting that trade. Come on, get a close. Let's see if we get a positive close above this pivot. That would be highly beneficial for UNG. Spiders are still hanging in there. Natural gas is still pushing up here. We're still pushing on nat gas. Nvidia is seeing a little bit of minor selling. Netflix, there is a new short level on Netflix. Let me just see if I can isolate down another level. Spiders are coming in now. UNG is still holding up. I'm still long UNG. I want to see if we can squeeze a little bit more out here. But I am protecting the trade. 710 stop loss. I want to bank a little bit of profit here no matter what the outcome is. Coca-Cola had a huge reversal. Maybe that's the signifying where the market's going to head. Take a look at this reversal on Coke. Look at that reversal, almost going to the negative side. So maybe that's where the spiders want to head. If Coke is reversing, maybe that's what the spiders are going to do. We will see. UNG is still in the money on UNG. Never quite hit our stop. Alright guys, I just got stopped out of UNG for a 6-cent gain. 6-cent gain. I had 4,000 shares there. 6-cent gain. Stopped 7.1. Now if we look for a bullish pattern to build off of this level, if we start consolidating at these highs, we can play UNG again. Just wait for a little bit of an intraday bullish pattern to play on the long side. I will keep my eye on that screen. No doubt, I will keep my eye on that screen. So nice little win on UNG. Nice little win on Netflix as well. And we'll see what other opportunities arise. AMD's negative, AI's bounced. FRC is having a nice bid off of the lows. Take a look at that move. Do a spider check again. Spiders are still holding up here. Coca-Cola's reversed from the highs. Copper stocks are still under pressure. Spiders are seeing a little bit of distribution. Tesla's back to the negative side. Coin is coming down hard. Riot's under some pressure. Netflix is coming down some more now. Spiders are seeing a little bit of sell side pressure. They're trying to hang in there. Coin is coming down. Definitely some weakness in coin. Dollar's trying to catch another little bid. Natural gas is acting well right now. XOM is surging higher. Gold is about to break a bear flag. GDX looks poised for another short. Basically, you break these lows and game on to the downside. Let's do a QQQ check. Qs are trading near some resistance. IWM, that's actually holding up relatively well, so there's obviously strength coming back into the play. Let's do an Eli Lilly check. That one's back up to the upside. ISRG is another one I had on my list. That one's pulled in quite substantially. What else are we looking at here? Let's do SYK. That one's a powerhouse stock. That's holding up, pulled off from the highs. SNA was another one. I should have kept my eye on that one. That one never quite took out the high, so I'm not interested in a short where it doesn't take out the high. Still seeing weakness in Coinbase, tremendous amount of weakness. There might be a level on Coinbase for a long trade. I'm just eyeing up a level here. Just give me 1 second. 55.81. 55.81. If coin can flush, because I'm seeing a bid coming in Bitcoin right now. I would love to see Bitcoin flush or coin flush to 55.81, but it's actually creating a big bid here now. So coin is actually catching a bid off of these lows. It is a potential long at this level with a stop loss. My actual technical support level was 55.81. Super dangerous with the Wells notice lurking behind the scenes. Wow, take a look at XOM. That is charging higher. Charging higher on XOM. Nvidia is still positive. That's holding up well. UNG, I'm still watching UNG for bullish consolidation. We get that consolidation pattern and we can play it on the long side again. Why not double dunk? Microsoft's almost back to the positive side, trying to fill its gap. Apple's surging higher right now, so clear strength in tech. These markets are just acting very resilient and they do not want to go down. Oil's now green. No red candles yet on the SPY. Still watching BABA. Markets are continuing to grind and push higher. We'll see if that remains the case. Blackstone Group is under a little bit of pressure. Home Depot's still acting well. ARE, PNC. Excuse me. So I'm just seeing some strength in Samara, MARA, weakness in coin, strength in Riot. Microsoft still negative, Nvidia's just hanging on to the positive side. Apple just turned positive, so that's going to help the markets. AI is still down 8.7%. I mean, wow. That's a phenomenal drop on AI. Let's take a look here. Keep AI on your radar. I am interested in a long trade on AI. It's not at the level yet, but it's getting close. AI at 1735. Spiders are just consolidating. There's clear strength in tech today. Clear strength in tech. XOM is surging higher. Let me just see if there's a short level on XOM. If XOM was to hit the 118.27 level, we would short it. 118.27, keep that on the radar. 118.27. But XOM's acting well, super strong. Markets are seeing a little bit of sell side pressure now coming into the Qs. Natural gas is still putting in some sideways consolidation to head higher. Coke is almost negative. Tesla never quite hit our long level. I had 162 tests, but you can see a big dip, big pop, retracing. Mr. Softy, that would have been an epic long level. That's a huge bounce. QQQ holding up. Russell, potential little intraday topping tail there. We'll see if that comes to fruition. Bitcoin still acting well. Qs are now seeing some sell side pressure. The dollar's falling as well. So Qs are coming down. Rotation going back into healthcare stocks. After healthcare took a big dip, it's now trying to push back up. So let's take a look at some of these other stocks that I had on the radar. CSX, nothing there. Eli Lilly catching a bid. Eli Lilly would have to go back above this high to consider a short. Let's take a look at UNH. Wow, look at that move on UNH. Let me just check the daily chart out. No real trade there. Let's take a look at J&J. That's putting in sideways consolidation. Spiders are now seeing some more sell side pressure. So it's just the two winners in the book for us. Two winners in the book for us. I'm still watching UNG. The dollar's dumping here. So the dollar is dumping. That makes me want to go long China stocks here. I'm just looking at Baba. I'm looking at Baidu. They're interesting. They are very interesting at these levels. Apple's getting rejected at a key resistance. Qs are also seeing some more sell side pressure. Spiders right back up though. Keep AI on your radar. That's almost at that daily 200. Nvidia is softening up right now. Getty. What the hell is Getty? Getty is up 42% today. INAB is well up. Holy. Some of these stocks are crazy. Now approaching that 10 o'clock time frame. Apple's almost to the negative side again. Tesla's back to the negative side, coming back down. Coke is coming back down. Let me just do a quick sector check. So out of all the sectors, you have technology negative, healthcare positive, financials negative, consumer discretionary slightly positive, communications positive, industrials positive, consumer staples positive, utilities negative, real estate negative, materials slightly positive. Energy is the outperformer today, holding up exceptionally well. Natural gas is putting in that sideways consolidation. Pressure in Nvidia, Microsoft now creeping back in. Keep Tesla on your radar for a long trade. I do like Tesla. It's beaten up. Hasn't hit my levels yet. I would have to coincide with Qs, but because we had a bounce before this technical level, I would let it pierce. Double bottom is the more conservative level, but definitely keep Tesla on watch. We are maybe going to get a long trade on TSLA. Let's see what transpires here though. Apple just went to the negative side. Let me check this SMCI. That had a pretty big dump. AMD, that's also down in the session. How's Micron doing? Do an SMH check. SMH is still just hanging around. Look at this beautiful consolidation occurring on nat gas. So we are actually getting that sideways consolidation. You can also see it on UNG, which is the ETF we were trading. Basically, you're consolidating right between this pivot and this pivot. That is bullish right now. As long as you hold this short-term moving average, we get another maybe 20 minutes or so of consolidation on UNG. I will potentially look to play it again. For those of you who picked up any ALB pre-market, it is extremely off of the lows. It's actually outperforming today, up 4.3%, so that's good to see. We are swing longing that trade. So that's where buying into the fear. You know, we picked up ALB pretty much at the lowest price to earnings ratio it's ever been. Why? Because we bought into the fear trade that Chile was nationalizing lithium mines, people exited, and then you get rewarded with a nice pop because it was mainly probably just options X shenanigans. And look at this, as the market is falling, the spiders, take a look at ALB, it's starting to push up again. QQQs are seeing more weakness as well. So Apple's the negative side, Nvidia is going to the negative side, still just hanging on, it's clinching. Look at AI. AI is coming down, guys. AI, keep AI on the radar. That's now down over 10%. Tesla's down 1, Dollar's trying to put a series of higher lows. Netflix is still coming down. Nvidia now just turned slightly negative. Apple's negative. Tesla's coming down. We got lots of actions. Let's see if we can get a big directional move in the market. I would love to see a flush so we can go long. I would love to see a pop so we can go short. Oil, healthcare. Wow, look at healthcare. Look at this Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly, keep that on the radar. Keep Eli Lilly for a short on the radar. Things are not looking and smelling right in the tech space here. So I like Eli Lilly at that 388 level. If you take a look at the XLV, that is surging, creating this beautiful double top. That looks intriguing for a short with this reversal, but I'm going to wait a little bit higher. I'm still watching Lilly. Eli Lilly, 3-month surge. I would love for it to hit that 388 mark. Come on, Eli Lilly. Spiders just got bought back up. Netflix is still trying to roll over a little bit here. Nvidia is still negative. Keep Tesla on the radar for a long. AI on the radar for a long. Eli Lilly on the radar for a short. Ooh, nice little pop on nat gas. It's continuing to move higher. Look at that. We couldn't even get our consolidation. What a powerhouse. That's okay. We're long UNG. We're long Boyle. So let it pump. Let that baby pump. Natural gas chart is looking really nice right now. Really, really constructive to move higher. Take a look at this move. That's breaking out of this consolidation zone, and now you're going to challenge this pivot. So natural gas, I think, is poised for a big move. We haven't had a double-digit move in natural gas for quite a decent amount of time. And considering in relevance to where natural gas is trading to, say, the DBC, the commodity ETF, I mean, natural gas is basically trading at its pre-COVID lows. So if we look at this DBC ETF, this is where the COVID collapse happened. Natural gas is trading down here. The DBCs are trading all the way up here. We have a massive divergence in natural gas. We're talking about maybe a 45% divergence in the nat gas chart, and it is starting to push higher. LLY, we'll keep LLY on the radar. It is pushing up, so keep Eli Lilly on the radar for a short trade. It's pushing up. I want it at a Pierce of 388. 388, okay? That is the short level that I'm prepared to get in and step in front of this behemoth. Nvidia's rolling. Nvidia is rolling. Netflix is rolling. QQQ is rolling heavy. The markets are looking heavy and tired. Look at the Qs rolling over. Look at Tesla challenging that major pivot low. So we may have some opportunities here, guys. Just be patient. Be ready to enter trades very quickly here. China stocks are bouncing. Netflix is rolling over. Qs are getting a small little bounce here. So tech is trying to catch a small little bounce. They're trying to save tech a little bit. Nike still remains strong. GE is just a freaking powerhouse. General Electric. Will that stock ever stop? Or is this the new bull market for GE? XOM is, I'm still intrigued by XOM. It needs to go a little bit higher. Natural gas is continuing to push. Very constructive price action in nat gas. Very, very constructive. Netflix is still rolling, so anyone holding their Netflix, I'm obviously swing shorting this one as well, and that's rolling. Look at that pick of the top. Could have got basically triple the amount of gains, but you can't be greedy in this business. You cannot be greedy in this business. So SPY is looking a little heavy here. The sell side pressure is starting to come in. just be very careful about this market, especially the way Microsoft and the Qs are now starting to roll over. Really, the big strong power horse today is energy. XOM is continuing to surge. Keep XOM on the radar. We're almost at a short level for XOM. Oil's continuing to grind and push, so no stopping oil as of yet. XOM is almost at a short level. Tesla's coming down. Eli Lilly's pulled off of the highs. Spiders are trying to bounce here. XOM is still pushing up. Alright, XOM at gap fill 118.27, 118.27. We can go short XOM. What's this WWE chart? Holy. Sorry, guys. Big push on WWE. Wow, look at that move on WWE. Fake wrestling, but real money. If you were along WWE, look at that push. Holy, that's a strong chart. I'm not going to step in front of that, even though I do think it's a good short opportunity, risk to reward. It is just absolutely insane. Wow. Alright, XOM's on watch here. 118.27. I want that gap fill on XOM. 118.27 is a short level on XOM. You can see it is pulling off of the highs now. That's okay though. Nvidia's back to the green side. Spiders are seeing a little bit more selling. It's mainly coming in from Tesla. Keep Tesla on the radar for a long. I am intrigued and interested. 162.02, we can go long Tesla. 162.02. Alright, we're seeing the markets now coming back down. Dollar's starting to get a pop here. Dollar is starting to get a pop. Even XOM is seeing some weakness. That's been a powerhouse leader today. Approaching that 10:30 time frame. I'm more intrigued about going long if we get a flush, especially as we head into that lighter volume time frame. Apple's positive, Nvidia's slightly negative. Eli Lilly's now coming down, so that might be off the radar. Wow, that UNG push, that was a big push on UNG. Look at that. For anyone that's still holding, wonderful job. We still obviously banked. I would love to see a retrace down, but we may not even get that. And I'm okay with that. Fly, UNG, fly. Spiders are still acting well here, consolidating to move higher. Dollar softened, which is why the markets are continuing to act resilient here. Tesla never hit our long level. That's unfortunate. I was very intrigued about that potential setup. I'm still interested in XOM. Markets are pushing up, so we may get that short level on XOM, 118.87, and then we have the double top as backup resistance, but XOM has been a powerhouse. Look at this ALB. It's just acting like a powerhouse now, breaking out of that flag pattern, trying to move higher. It would be pretty incredible if ALB pushes all the way back up to gap fill here. That would be impressive. And then you would know that that announcement from Chile nationalizing the miners was pure garbage and speculation, trying to drive investors out of this quality name, lithium miner name, for pure options X shenanigans. And that was a bullish 5-minute close. You closed above that high, intraday high. So we've almost recaptured that full 50% drop from that Chile nationalization mine announcement, which is very intriguing to me. XOM is just off of our level. Spiders are still hanging in there. Tech is still seeing some selling though. So spiders are at resistance here, guys. And there's getting a little bit of pressure. Natural gas is still holding up. Spiders are now coming back down. Nvidia's back to the negative side. XOM's caught a nice little bid. China stocks are back down. So AI never quite hit that level. Just waiting on AI. Wow, look at this push on ALB. Holy, that thing continues to be a powerhouse monster. We're approaching that 10:16 time frame. 10:30 is when I would consider looking at more long trades because the volume will lighten up. But again, the overall sentiment, when you have Coca-Cola gapping up in the market and then it's losing all of its gains, it's a big company that you have to pay attention to. Still watching Tesla. Nvidia just went back to the positive side. Wow, UNG is continuing to soar and roar, guys. UNG is the powerhouse today. Natural gas is now climbing up 3.3%. Oil's up 5. Boom, boom. Let's get going. $250 is the next resistance on nat gas. I would love to see sideways consolidation, but they may not give it to us. Spider's looking heavy here. Consolidating under the key intraday moving average is not a positive sign at this point in time, but the volume is still light today. Still very, very light today. Wow, look at this ALB. It's now up over 5.74% and climbing. Climbing fast. Dollar softening. So the dollar has softened quite substantially. JP Morgan's consolidating. Bank of America's weak today. Wells Fargo's holding up. So no other trades I'm seeing as of yet. Really, we're just stuck in a range. The range trading is difficult because the algorithms are smarter than us. So I'll stay with you till about 10:30 in case anything major happens. If something big happens, we need a big directional move. Day traders rely on big directional moves. Let's just go through some of the earnings after the bell since it's quieting down here and we have two winners in the pocket already. Basically, the volume is extremely light right now. But in terms of earnings after the bell, let me just pull up my list here. So yeah, really the big ones are Cleveland Cliffs. Let's just actually see how that's doing. The steel stocks are on watch for great short opportunities, and look at that. That's actually got a nice bounce, outperforming the market today. So that's very intriguing. Notice how you did gap down. You confirmed the break of this head and shoulders. Now I'd look for a retrace. If earnings were to pop up and basically, obviously pattern, or depending on what the earnings were, if it were to hold these gains above these key moving averages and this neckline, then this head and shoulders is negated. But if we get a retrace and rejection at the 200 and off this neckline, that's a pure primed short candidate, in my opinion. So keep CLF on the radar. I'm also looking at Nucor. This is one of my favorite ones. Obviously, it did report earnings, and you can see that it had a beat on the earnings, but a miss on the revenue, and it really hasn't made a big directional move. And you're putting in bearish consolidation now over here, so pay attention to that. STLD, Steel Dynamics, is another one, and these are all industrial stocks. So maybe we're going to get some weak GDP data that really causes steel stocks to plummet and fall lower. But definitely the weakest of the bunch is CLF. Now, it hasn't reported earnings, so this is why it's dangerous to front run this and short this bearish pattern, because you have triggered on a technical basis this downside pattern, which actually takes you to about the double bottom, $12. But getting in front of this ahead of earnings is super, super risky, and I'm not prepared to do that. Now, that's why Nucor, I'm letting a couple more days pass by because it has reported earnings, and this pattern is still on watch, and so is STLD. So they've reported, and basically I am looking to short some steel stocks with my members. Just a little bit of an insider tidbit there. These patterns are not looking strong, and Nucor is obviously CLF is the weakest one out of the bunch, but wait for the pop up. I would love to see a retrace back to 1750 to maybe get in on the short side of that market. SPY is still just hanging in there, consolidating. AI is starting to come back down. Natural gas is starting to come back down. Maybe another UNG trade if we can play it and get a little bit of a retrace here. Let me just see here. Ooh, look at this dump on Tesla. Look for Tesla at a long trade here, guys. A little bit lower, we can go long Tesla. That was a big dump on Tesla, and the market didn't even dump, so maybe it's foreshadowing. But 162.02, I will go long Tesla here, guys. 162.02. I like this trade because we have a massive pivot low as a resistance point, or as a stop out point. But Tesla could be foreshadowing. Maybe the markets fall a little bit more here. It is getting a bounce. It's almost at that level, but it's just hanging on by a thread here. Hanging on by a thread. Spiders are continuing to push up. Hopefully we get one more dip on Tesla. Come on. Apple's pushing up, Nvidia's pushing up, so Qs are getting a bid that's going to help Tesla, not going to help us get in on the long side. But it doesn't mean the opportunity won't come. The fact that Tesla's weak and the market is pushing up, it's a little bit of a bearish divergence. Let's see what we can get here, guys. Come on, volume starting to uptick, which means that there are buyers stepping into this level here, but there's also sellers. I'd love to see one more little dip. One more little dip. We're almost there on Tesla. Natural gas is coming in as well now. Spiders are still pushing up. The dollar's trying to catch a little bit of a bid. Healthcare still acting very resilient here. Come on, Tesla, don't tease us. Don't tease us. It may pierce this level, considering it's hovering there for quite a long time. It may pierce that 162 level. But I'm going to play it on the long side if we get a flush. The only thing I don't like is the markets haven't hit really a technical support zone. So if the markets start flushing on us or falling, that's going to hinder the Tesla trade. So I'm interested, but we got to play it smart and cautiously. We're seeing the dollar starting to uptick now. The dollar is starting to uptick. We're about 25 cents away on Tesla. Qs are still acting well, pushing up. Alright, we're approaching that 10:30 time frame. Spiders and the dollar's bouncing. Spiders are seeing some selling. Tesla's hitting that level now. I want to pierce it because we consolidated, but it's hitting that technical level now. Got a little bit of a bounce. You can see it was pinpoint to a penny, but I'm seeing the dollar get a big bounce here. So the spiders may see some selling. Qs are seeing some selling, so let Tesla pierce that level. It should come back down with the dollar trying to bounce here. But you can see that that had an initial bounce off that 162.02 level, which shows there are buyers there. Come on, I want to see it break that 162 level. I want to get it in the 161. SPY is falling here. Qs are also falling. Not a big bounce on Tesla, so we should see it break a little bit lower. There's 162.01. Come on. Come on, Tesla, give it up. Give up that 162 status. You know you want to. Spiders are still just hanging. Dollar's creeping higher. Come on, dollar. Push this market over the cliff. We want bigger moves so we can trade. We're almost long Tesla here. I'm just hovering. It's getting a bounce off that level. Some people might be trying to front run, but I'm just being patient here. Typically when you're patient, you get rewarded with better levels. If I miss the trade, I miss the trade, but that's okay with me. We are seeing the spiders' weakness. Alright guys, I just went long Tesla here. 161.87, 161.87. I got filled on Tesla to 1/5 position. Tesla's still coming down. Next ad level on Tesla would be at the double bottom. At the double bottom, okay? We'll see if Tesla can catch a big bid here off of the lows. I think we can look for about 90 cents. And we're getting a bounce now. 90 cents to $1 would be nice on Tesla. 90 cents to $1. Look at this bounce on Tesla. You see, we were patient. We're now getting a bounce. Let's see if we can continue this bounce higher. Natural gas is starting to push back up. So are the regional banks. Volume periods are starting to lighten up here. I'll add to Tesla at 160.69 here. 160.69. Spiders are pushing up. The volume is still light, so this should help our Tesla trade. The volume being super, super light should help us. Spiders are pushing up. Light volume hitting that 10:30 period, and you saw the light volume on the spiders just push up right away. So we are long Tesla at 161.87. 161.87. Tesla's still under pressure even though the markets are grinding higher. Regional banks are starting to push up higher. You have strength in FRC, First Republic, and they are reporting earnings. All right, Tesla's coming back down here, guys. Tesla's falling some more. Spiders are at resistance. Qs are coming back down now. Nvidia's back to the negative side, so Tesla's falling. I'm going to add at the double bottom. Spiders are getting rejected at resistance. Nvidia is starting to roll a bit harder now. Tesla's falling lower here. Spiders are getting rejected. Qs are rolling over hard, so that's why Tesla's falling. So I'm going to add to Tesla at 160.60. 160.60, just slightly ahead of this double bottom. Spiders pushing up. Qs are getting a small little bounce here. Nvidia is still on the negative side. Apple's positive. Coin is down 5%. BABA's down 1.6. Microsoft's down 0.7. AI's down 9.6. T's down 2.2. Tesla's still acting weak here, guys. We may get a flush and a pierce. Let me just see here. There is a gap fill on Tesla at... There's a gap fill around 160.15. So Tesla might actually just pierce that level and fill the gap at 160.15. But get ready to add to Tesla. Spiders are trying to bounce. Qs are trying to bounce. Tesla's still acting weak here, guys. Alright, I'm about to add to my Tesla here. We're going to probably let it pierce that double bottom because there's a gap fill right underneath it. Spiders are dumping here a little bit more. So are the Qs. So this is not going to help Tesla. But I will add here, just let it pierce that level. It's hitting that double bottom. Spiders are now coming down, so are the Qs, so that's not going to help Tesla. I'm going to let it pierce this 166. Alright, I just added to my Tesla, guys, at 160.48. 160.48. And Tesla's going lower. It's filling a gap now. Sorry, that's just my Tesla alerts. So my average now is 160.15. 160.15 on Tesla. We are out of the money. That's okay. You did fill the gap on Tesla. Tesla's still coming lower now. Next ad level will be around 159. 159.28. 159.28. Spiders and Qs are rolling, so that's not going to help our Tesla trade. So Tesla's continuing to dump. Qs are weak. Bigger dump coming in Tesla now. Alright, get ready to add to Tesla again. It is falling sharply lower here. Alright, I just added to my Tesla here at 159.28. 159.28. Spiders and markets are coming back down here, and Tesla's still falling. Average on Tesla is 160.50. So we are out of the money, and it is falling lower. We'll do one more ad on Tesla, and I'm not prepared to add anymore because these markets are rolling down heavy right now. The light volume is not helping us at this point in time. That's okay. We're still net short the market, so I don't mind holding some long exposure in the event that we do get a bounce, but Tesla's still acting weak. So the manufacturing data came out at 10:30 and it was really, really bad. Horrific. Spiders are getting a big sell here. Qs are dumping. Spiders are dumping. Final ad level on Tesla would be around 157.67. It's quite a ways away. actually keep it in a tighter range. 158.01 I will add to Tesla. 158.01. But a big dump in the markets. Qs are at the lows. Bitcoin saw some tremendous selling pressure. Nvidia rolling over. Microsoft testing the lows. Apple falling apart. Everything's coming down now. Big reversal on the volatility index too. That's coming down. Big market rollover right now. Tesla's still holding this level as the market heads lower, but big weakness coming in. It's going to be difficult for Tesla to bounce if this weakness continues. Let's see if we can get a bounce on Tesla. We are out of the money right now on a day trade Tesla. Everything's turned red on the screen. Even Coinbase is getting demolished with Bitcoin. So coin's actually intriguing because it's approaching a key support level around 53.30. Tesla's starting to get a little bit of a bounce here. Let's see if we can get some action. I have a 3/5 position on Tesla. We are out of the money, obviously. Let's see if we get a bigger bounce here. Markets are still coming down here, guys. Even though the dollar's dropping, markets are not responding to a weaker dollar, and that's the manufacturing. So just like we said, that manufacturing data GDP, look at the steel stocks. They're holding up. STLD, that's still holding up. Let's take a look at CLF. That's actually still holding up. Interesting. Spider, big dump though. Microsoft's catching a bounce. Coinbase is still at the lows of the session. Coming down on Coinbase. Spiders are trying to bounce slightly here. Let's see if Tesla can get a bounce. But right now it's still super weak. Meta's coming down. Apple's coming down. Natural gas is softening up as well. Tesla still looks like it wants to come a bit lower. And it is losing a bullish pivot zone on Tesla. So it's not a good sign for Tesla. Meta's falling. Spider new low. New lows on the S&P. They are falling. You are coming up into some first support level on the S&P. Excuse me. But we're well over that 10:30 time frame. The volume is light. So this is selling off on a light volume session, which definitely makes it more interesting. Nvidia new lows. Q's new lows. Gold is surging. Excuse me. Gold is surging on a stronger dollar. So I'll add to Tesla at 158.10, a Pierce of 158.10. Tesla's getting a bounce. You even have some opportunities on the long side of Coinbase, Riot, a couple individual names. Look at that Coinbase rollover. Big rollover. Tesla's now down 3.5%. Tesla's trying to bounce. Here comes a bounce on Tesla. Apple's still at the lows. Nvidia's still at the lows. Microsoft and Tesla are bouncing. Amazon's still one of the stronger mega caps. KRE just rolled over. Take a look at this rollover in the regionals. That's a huge rollover. Let's take a look at Bank of America. New lows, JP Morgan, JPM. That also saw a big rollover. Let's take a look at Wells Fargo. Rollover, PNC. Obviously, everything's rolling over with the markets. Take a look at the IWM. That also had a big failed breakout now. QQQ. Qs are also negative now on the session. Nvidia is still selling off sharply here. Take a look at Nvidia. Amazon at this level is an interesting long trade. It is an interesting long trade at this level here. I'm just watching Tesla. Spiders are catching a small bounce here. Take a look at that gold reversal. After we saw a big sell-off, now a big rally. And again, that volume is lightened, so we should see a bounce at some point in time. It's just whether or not we're going to make another little low. But Amazon's negative, Tesla's negative. Holy, this Acon is up 182%. Jeez. Insane. Tesla's making a new low here, coming down. So 158.10 I will add again to my position. Spiders are bouncing here, but Apple's still lagging, and the Qs are lagging now. So it was interesting to see the Qs were the stronger stocks, but now they're actually taking the lagging spot today. Big bounce on silver. Tesla, maybe a 5-minute bottoming tail forming on Tesla. Let's see what we can get out of Tesla. Spiders are bouncing. It'd be impressive if Tesla could reverse most of these losses. That would be super impressive on Tesla. It's a long shot. But if any stock can do it, it's Tesla's stock. We've seen some pretty crazy price action over the years on Tesla. Alright, Tesla's got a nice bounce. We do have a 10-minute tail candle forming. Also a 5-minute one. It'd be beneficial if we can actually engulf this previous candle. That would be beneficial. Nvidia's still weak, so still a lot of weakness in tech right now. Lots and lots of weakness in tech. This market is not out of the woodworks yet. Meta's still selling off. So Meta's acting weak. Tesla's pushing higher here. Let's see if we can get more upside on Tesla. Come on, Tesla. Push up. Push up. I'd love to see Tesla push up and recapture the 163.80 level. It's a long shot. It's a super long shot, but it stranger things. All right, we're now approaching that 11 o'clock time frame. Hopefully we can close this candle with a 10-minute bottoming tail on Tesla. That would be short-term a little bit bullish. Spiders are still trying to hang in there. Dollar softened quite substantially. The dollar's losing a key wide range red bar off of that weak data. Nvidia new lows, Apple new lows. Apple actually is triggering a head and shoulders topping formation that takes you down. Wow. Just noticing this now on the hourly chart, this market could be in trouble today because Apple's triggered a head and shoulders that takes you down to 161.59. Jeepers. That's not going to be good for this tech market. Hopefully we just see some capital rotate out of Apple into, say, Tesla, the more of the beaten down name. But that's a bearish pattern for Apple. Apple's triggering in 40 minutes. If Apple closes here on the hourly chart, we have a bearish topping formation triggered. It's gonna close on a 10-minute basis in about 10 seconds. All right, Apple's getting a 10-minute bearish close here. Tesla got a little bit of a 10-minute bottoming tail, so that's a short-term positive for the trade. Let's see if we can build momentum off of this. But with the market like Apple and the Q so weak, it's going to be very, very difficult for it to bounce. Next time frame I'm watching on Apple is the 30-minute close. But again, volume's light, so let's favor some upside bias here. Even though the markets are extended at resistance, we'll see if we can get some upside momentum on Tesla. Come on, Tesla. Show us what you're made of. Spiders are beginning to float. Qs are catching a small minor bid. Nvidia's breaking out of a bearish wedge pattern, and actually there's also a little topping formation on Nvidia that's triggering, believe it or not, on the hourly chart. So that's a bearish breakdown on Nvidia. Definitely is. Come on, Tesla. Tesla's now pushing back up. Let's see if we can get some more upside. Come on, Tesla. Give it to us. Markets are still very fragile right now. Tesla's still out of the mega caps now, trying to bounce the most. Coin is still acting very weak. I am interested in coin for a long trade as well, but I'm not going. I'm going to end this stream early once we get this Tesla trade out of the way. Or I guess not early, it's actually late. Another round of selling coming in Tesla, and that's just due to the market being so weak right now. The only thing that's really rallying right now is healthcare and gold. Even Amazon went negative. Nvidia's down almost 1%. Coin's down 7%. AI still down 10%. Still watching AI for a potential long trade. Spiders are seeing another wave of selling. Nvidia new lows, Apple new lows. Spiders haven't taken out the lows yet. Qs are also seeing some more selling. Apple's just breaking down here. Apple's looking exceptionally weak, guys. The light volume has not helped this market at all, not one iota. The only positive about this Tesla trade is it has a 10-minute bottoming tail, whereas Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, all of the other mega caps are not putting in any buying patterns. But it's difficult for Tesla to bounce if all of those are continuing to see weakness. Dollar's starting to perk up a little bit. Tesla's still trying to fight, but it's ever so weak. It's at 160. We're getting a small little push now, even though the markets aren't bouncing. So this is a little bit of relative strength now, even though Tesla's down the most. If the spiders get any little of a bit of a bounce and the Qs get any bit of a bounce, we should see Tesla continue. But basically, I may just put a stop loss to protect this trade from going any much against us. I'm going to have basically a 10-minute close below this level, 158.65. I will stop out. So a 10-minute close below the low. Or actually, we'll do a 5-minute close since we got a 5-minute reversal. 5-minute close below the low, I'll stop out. Alright, so the parameters, I'm going to call the stream to an end because the markets are slowing down here. But basically, 5-minute close below this wick, I'll stop out for a loss. And then I'm still looking for about 50 to 90 cents on Tesla. So somewhere in this wide range red bar, I'll look to take profits. There is a potential that it can rally higher based off of the light volume, but I don't want to get cute with this market. So 5-minute close below this wick, I stop out, or we take 50 to 90 cents on the trade. On that note, congrats on the 2 winners that we did get. Obviously, we're just riding this third trade, but the markets, specifically Apple, is looking exceptionally weak, and it has triggered. Let me just pull up this Apple chart here. Apple on the hourly chart right now is on watch for a big technical breakdown. You can see that we put in bearish consolidation, and this is why the markets could be in trouble, is because Apple put in the sideways bearish consolidation, left shoulder head, right shoulder breakdown. This head and shoulders pattern takes you down to about 161.50 on the chart. 161.50 just so happens to coincide with this impulse green bar breakout. So there could be a shot that it actually fades there all the way today. I'd be shocked if it did, but don't count this pattern out. You got a meaningful amount of consolidation, and remember, Apple is near the high of the chart. So just pay attention to Apple because it is going to be the market leader, and it's certainly showing a little bit of weakness right now. On that note, thank you all for tuning in. Definitely stay ready for the earnings report as we get more throughout the rest of the afternoon. And then tomorrow is going to be wild, mind-blowing. We have economic data. We have earnings left, right, and center. So keep your head on a swivel and be ready for anything because there's going to be extreme, abnormal amounts of volatility. Take care, everybody, and congrats on the wins.